Hello Mary, hey, welcome to your reading with me. So yes, I just want to take a moment to connect with you and wish you, some peace and light and positive energies as we sit back into this reading together, even though I'm doing it alone as such. I've already been spending the last half hour or so connecting with you, reading over your emails again, and just letting the flow of spiritual energy connect us through time and space as if there is no distance or time energies. So yeah, you've sent the two emails, and the first one about the priestess was obviously the longer one, and then of course this one about the nun as well. So it's always disheartening, isn't it, to read stories such as yourself, and I can't even begin to imagine the trauma and the pain, as you know from the previous readings that we've done together, and you know that's how I feel and where I sit. And I think I'd told you a bit about my husband and what he went through, and although his wasn't perpetrated by the church, it's still the same gross damage that's done to souls at this level, isn't it? And especially from when they're children. The pain and the trauma, the physical and emotional and spiritual trauma that is done by adults, whichever way we look at it. But I guess coming back specifically to the church, it is even more offensive and more vile, because these people pretended they were these, fantastic, bloody, amazing, perfect people, and they preached to everyone else and they told other people that they were sinners and that they were doing stuff wrong, and it just you can kind of get a feel from my voice, but it really makes me sick to the core of my being. I grew up in a very religious family, and most of my family are still that way inclined, or, well, my mum and dad have long passed, and I have a brother that is, I have a very complicated family scenario, and so does my husband, interestingly enough, so I believe we were brought together to help each other's journeys. But my family, I have a brother who lives in Australia who is a criminal, I guess, for want of better words, in his own way. And then I have two other brothers who are incredibly religious. And I can't remember what I've told you from the past readings or not, but they believe they are one of the 100,000 people that God is going to take with them on the rapture, when this supposed rapture shit happens. So they are very much holier than thou, and they particularly find this work that I do very demonic and evil. So for a very long time I have been cast out of my family's light as the black sheep, but it was happening to me from when I was a child, long before I even went on this journey. And so consequently my family ties are very fraught, and I have long since stood up by myself, I guess, and said I will not take their bullying anymore, which is what it is. So consequently I have ceased to connect with my brothers, or one brother and a sister actually in particular, for their behaviour towards me. So I understand from a very much lesser perspective, if you like, how this feeling of needing to stand up for yourself and not let go of something comes about. This took me all of my years really, until 3 years ago, when I finally decided I would not tolerate this negativity that I felt very strongly that was coming from them. Any time that I was around them, the brothers in particular, I would feel panic attacks coming on, like anxiety, and I could never figure out why, like what was happening. There were never any real arguments, like It was just subjugated animosity that I could feel, and I knew it existed. So it took an awful lot for me, because I'm the youngest of 5, to stand up and decide that no, I will not take this anymore. I will stand my ground, and I am who I am, and my beliefs are important. In fact, I believe that the knowledge, the esoteric knowledge that I have gained and gleaned, and the connection to spirit and source that I have, is one of the most pure. And theirs is far removed from what they believe to be, you know, the so-called chosen. So it has led to a very big family fraying, and I am even more now an evil one and a dark one, gone to the dark side, you know. So in standing up for myself and putting a boundary between us, it has completely separated the family, and I now am on my own, but I have my own family unit with in my life, my husband and my children, and my friends who I consider very, very dear to me. So it was a big move to make. Did I do this or not? Because this is over 50 years of, you know, meditating on it and pondering. Why was I being treated as the one that was always in the wrong? So, as I say, eventually I took courage and I did it. I stood up and I wrote some letters that were very forthcoming and very brittle, and basically told them to stuff themselves. And you know what? Sorry, that was me. I actually felt better after doing it. I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder. I felt it was something that had needed to be done many years earlier, but I didn't feel capable or strong enough because of this underneath bullying, this subjugation, this knocking down, this depowering. They would depower me at some sort of spiritual level. They did some pretty bad things over the years, and I don't need to go into that, but the reason I'm telling you this very, very personal story is to enable you, or to empower you towards making a decision that I feel you're already on the road to making, but it feels as though it has to be done. And this is what you're saying, and you're getting the messages, you're getting the insight, you're getting the dreams. We know that when we trust our gut instinct, so much more happens, so much more connectivity takes place. With my story, going back to it, as I said, when I stood up and decided to cut my ties with them and acknowledge, I guess at a spiritual level, that I feel that they have the problems and that they have the darkness around them, I felt better. It gave me light, but it has not made life easier. So it's made it better for me, it's made it more real, it's made it more empowered and empowering. I feel stronger, I feel freer, but that relationship, that family relationship, has literally fallen asunder. But oddly enough, I don't care. I've never needed them. They've never ever helped me. And yet my husband and I always supported and helped them. So they're the ones who have lost out hugely. So I get the feeling that this is a similar kind of thing that you might experience when you take this a step further. I think you will feel the freedom that you're seeking. I think you will. It's almost like purging out some revolting, vile stench or growth that's been inside you, you know, brewing for years. And when you do it, it's almost like hurling out, you know, pieces of rotting, pungent stench. So I think, do it. That's from an intuitive as well as just a person's perspective. Like we know each other now. We've talked a lot. I've told you quite a lot about my personal life as well. So those were the feelings that first came to me when I read both of your different emails. And the next perspective that I got was, I believe you do have to change lawyers. I don't think there's any point carrying on with a legal team who will not represent the case fair and square. Now, I've got some friends who live in Melbourne, and we've visited there in the last couple of years and particularly enjoyed Melbourne, but her insight to what goes on in the Melbourne city was very intriguing. She said it's very much a patriarchal city governed by certain powers and families and rules and regulations, and it's very hard to fit into. And if you're not one of the top ones, you know, like big family names, or if your child doesn't go to a set college, you'll struggle in Melbourne. So again, these thoughts came to my mind about your legal team. I think you need to find possibly even an international representation or something out of Melbourne where there isn't this stoicism or this cloistered feeling of backing the church up. You know, now more than ever, the church are under bombardment for the persecution of all of the people that they tortured, abused mentally and physically over, look, it's probably over hundreds of years, but we're going back to what, the beginning of the century perhaps, or the early 1900s and then on. So the Catholic Church have a lot yet to still hide. There's still more muck coming out of the system. I would say nearly every single person in power within that Catholic Church and within many churches were doing something so disgustingly dark. It is evil. So you have to decide, A, is it worth the personal agitation, which is what it will be? Is it worth the stress, which is what it will be? Is it worth the time and effort? So there's all these things, right, that you are somehow going to have to find fortitude for and build up strength and also knowledge, power, information, and have a backup of people or a society or a group or something that keeps you going, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and with actual knowledge to represent everything. I agree with you. You say it's about a spiritual pursuit for other people, and that's a very true cause, and it is happening. And so if you do it from that perspective, and you remove yourself perhaps, and you say, I am doing this for the greater good of all, you might find that it even connects more. So in part it's about removing yourself a little bit to open up the situation and either find more people who are involved or go out at a broader angle. I think the more you disengage just yourself and you take this at a broader type of juxtaposition, the more success you might have. I also feel writing back to the Archbishop, why not? That's a good starting point. I think that if you tell people like him, such as himself, that you are going to make this public, you are going to go wider, and you have to be very careful here. You have to say things like you have already sent copies of this to overseas lawyers, or documents have been filed with other representatives, so that they are aware that the information isn't being just held by one small bunch of people, because that's when they control the situation. And that's what I say about broadening it all. You have to get it out there. You have to get this to as many people as possible. You even could say to him, you will publish a book. It's stuff like this that will pull them up a little bit more, that will make them think. And if you have no luck getting any further than that, start going public. Start ringing the news channel or the news centres or radio places. Start getting this out there for other people to which I know I've told you this before, but I keep getting this as a reaffirmation and a confirmation. The more that you have on board, the stronger it will be. Regards the second email here where you say you received a letter on Thursday about an assessment. Well, if the assessment is required, but everything that happened is true, and you can validate it with facts and dates and times and places and names in particular, it becomes very hard for them to doubt it. But again, it's about having it all down specific. The names of the nuns, the rooms it occurred, the convent it was in, the dates, the times, other people who were around, other school people, other teachers, other things. All of this needs to be validated somehow and needs to be corroborated for it to move forward. But we can certainly say this: there has never been a time more than now where all this abuse and disgraceful behaviour against other human beings is being pulled up and shown and made public, and those perpetrators are suffering the consequences. So that's the perspective I have about taking it forward. We will look at all the cards, obviously. The other thing is too, you mentioned something about having a healing last week, and that felt really positive. I would suggest that you keep doing that and try as many different methods of healing as you can. You know, if you Google them, there's so many various healings. Even things like massage can be so therapeutic. They bring stuff up out of the tissues that help to purge it out of our bodies. Then there's Reiki healing, which is very, very a special mode of healing. And again, I'm not sure how much you know about Reiki. I'm moving into it myself. I want to become a healer, and often people like yourself can be the best healers as well because of what you experience. There's Aquarius healing. There's all sorts of spiritual healing. There's crystal healing. That was another thing that came to me before, was about you utilising crystal power. And I have these 3 Merkabas in the background. This is a crystal quartz, clear quartz Merkaba. This is a sodalite Merkaba. And this one here is I have to think of the name. I think it's the same as this one here, which I actually have underneath, a yellow jade Merkaba. Now Merkabas are all about new spiritual growth, new pathways, and learning and evolution. I know what you mean also when you said you forgot to read the fine print when you signed up to this lifetime. I'm similar. I forgot to read the fine print, and I wonder what it's all about. And I've mentioned this to you before as well. It's about the fact that these are lessons that are maturing our soul, and we're learning. We're also paying off karmic debt from previous lifetimes. There's a woman on YouTube called Dolores Cannon, and she did regressive psychotherapy. Well, she actually ended up calling it quantum mechanics healing. And she said all of our disease and troubles and that stem from karmic activity. Now, she passed away in 2014, but she now has people teaching her method of healing globally around the world. And this could be a way of healing the karmic issues that have brought yourself and the likes of me to this point in time where we've gone through so much pain and trauma, and we need to heal it and move on. But in saying that, even going through the process and addressing it and dealing with trying to retain positivity and enhance positive vibrational energy around you, that's also doing karmic healing energy anyhow. So my computer keeps, the screen keeps closing down on me. I'll just flick back to your other email your question, I know, you say here is, will I be okay and will I be believed? You know, short term, this would be traumatic, and I think you know that. But you have to be able to make it believable. You have to have all that information that I've talked about and provide it, and you just say to them, well then do a lie test. If people say you're lying, just push it and say, I am not. You know, get angry at some point if that's what is required. Of course, you don't take that in the first instance. It must only ever be used as a very last alternative when people will not listen to all of the evidence that is provided. And also, as I say, you just say to them, I will take this further. I will make this public. I will tell everyone. And it's stuff like that they know then that you're not, you know, just bandying stuff around. But yeah, your question is, will I be okay and will I be believed? So I guess we will work on that. I'll leave that screen up. I was going to click back onto your other letter. But for now, I'm not even going to address any set specific questions, but rather I'm just going to deal some of these cards out, and we're going to see what messages are coming. So this is for Mary. That music in the background, that meditational music, is base chakra energy music, which in many ways is probably the chakra area that they affected the most. That's our kind of fight, flight, physical manifestation chakra zone. It's our tribe, it's our family lineage, it's our feeling of safety. So I think too, you know, healing of the base chakra would be a good thing as well for you. Okay, let's see what's coming up for Mary. See, there you are. I don't ask the questions, but they will deliver answers. That says worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. And how true is that? So you need to move the worry out of it and just say, this is either a task or a project that I want to do or complete, or it's not. And you forget or leave that part out, because that alters the projection of it. It alters the way you're going to deal with it. Nice. Freedom. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. And that also is really important, because I think you say that happiness is what you are inevitably wanting. Again, you're wanting to feel the light and the love and the peace. And so now at this stage in your life, it is also up to you to feel that. You can take this further, and you can get this done, and you can make it more public, and you can save other people's lives, and you can help other traumatized people. You can be the angel, the saint for others and yourself. But at the same time, you have to find happiness within it. So you also have to let go to a degree that fighting pit in your stomach, that horrible purged feeling, you know, that horrible angst. There has to be a degree at where you arrive at a point and you say, okay, so it happened. This is my life. I intend to make it the best I can. And in doing that, I seek happiness, love, and light. And I ask that in my life, and I want it in my life, and I have it in my life. Discipline. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. And I notice all of those colours there. They're just the beautiful purple, the amethyst colour, the third eye. That's your trust your gut instincts, connect to that energy. That beautiful blue, that is about communication. It's a really beautiful blue, actually. That's a blue howlite. And then the discipline again with the purple and the amethyst. So, you know, beautiful colours coming in there. One of those mandalas will be more appealing to you than another, but it's quite often nice to take a screenshot of these and like if you have a cell phone, and on your cell phone take a photo and then either print it out or put it on your fridge door or under your pillow, because these mandalas will be working for you at a very metabolic level. We'll do one more of these. Oh, look. Happiness. I am aware that being happy means that I am on the right path. And I kind of just talked a little bit about that, and allowing those feelings to come in, because if you sit still in that negative energy, which is, you know, if you go back to what I was saying about my own family, if I had have still resided with that energy and with them and them holding it over me, I was always feeling drained and down, and it was on the back of my mind. But by standing my ground and staking my place and deciding that that was the end of it, I moved on. And I think there has to be a degree of moving on. It's more at the spiritual and emotional level. You can continue the process, but you have to somehow remove yourself from the pain of it. You have to find it's almost like becoming an observer of doing it. So when you go through the processes, you aren't as closely united to it. You have put it in a box or something somewhere, and I think that can be the best way to deal with it. So therefore, at other times, you're allowing these things like happiness and freedom to come in. So yeah, pick whichever one of those cards is the most special to you, or you're drawn to the most. I think freedom is a beautiful colour, and it's certainly a lovely mandala as well. But yeah, take a screenshot or be able to cut the cards out and put them under your pillow and sleep with those energies and meditate with those energies, because they are very powerful. So let's have a look at these ones too. These are called What Do I Need to Surrender? And again, they're kind of similar sort of cards. So we'll just see what messages are popping up. This is for Mary. This is for Mary. Surrender your ego. That's an interesting one. Surrender to divine timing. Same colours in those cards. So we're back in the blues again. We've still got some blue coming through. Surrender to inner peace. I'll do one more. Surrender your belief in scarcity. See, so these cards are also very powerful. Because they're telling us what to let go, what to drop off. I'll read them all out to you because we probably can't quite see them that clearly from here. Starting over here, surrender your ego. Cultivate gratitude, be of service to others and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. So that was kind of a little bit like I just said before about removing yourself from the scenario. It's like you almost become your own legal representative and you remove the emotions back. You step back from it, so it's not just about you. And I think you've grasped that when you said this is more about a bigger picture for humanity. And so when you do that and it's not just about you, it could move further at a greater pace. Surrender to divine timing. Sometimes divine timing may differ from your ego's timing. Wow, we've got the ego here and the ego here. That's interesting. If a goal isn't manifesting fast enough according to your ego, be patient and trust the universal flow. So I think we're getting a bit of a message here about timing or events and not giving up. I don't feel giving up is right, but I feel it's about you standing back somehow. It's about moving back and expanding everything, which is what I said from the beginning. It's got to be broadened out. And I think the more people you get on board, or the wider you take this to the bigger field, the more likely it will be to go ahead. So it becomes almost not a group project, but there have to be more people involved. That's what I feel. Surrender to inner peace. Cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet, meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. And you know, I think that's really important about letting the fear go about this. I know how difficult it must be to go into this space again and be scrutinised, but I forget if it was a psychologist who I read about, or even one that I used to attend for lots of reasons. He was a marvellous chap. His name was Brody, and I went to him on and off for many years as a private counsellor. And I would say to him, you know, I had fears about certain things, and so we would work through them, and he would eventually, his way of dealing with it was, okay, so you have to go back over an event and you're traumatized by it, but is it happening now? Is it happening right now? Is it going to happen again? And you start to say, no, it won't happen again. No, it's not happening right now. So that's again this message about putting the feelings back, distancing yourself from those feelings to be more analytical about it. So it's a very hard process to do. It's one of the hardest things as humans we will try to encompass. But when we can do that, the pain and the fear and the anxiety drop down a degree. So know that you will never go through that again. Know that the scrutinising and the questioning has to be done to get to the answers. Know that you're not feeling it at the time, and we have to find personal ways of working through that so that we don't feel as if it's happening right in the now and the moment. And again, you might find someone who can offer practical advice on how to work through that. I'm sure there are many methodologies out there. As I say, I worked for years myself with this guy, his counsellor or psychologist, who became a mentor in many ways and helped both my husband and myself through many layers of fear and anxiety that we were working through. So the next one is surrender your belief in scarcity. The universe is asking you to open to the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. So, again, believe in success, believe in positivity, feel it, vibrate it, focus on it. Every day when you wake up, focus on something to be grateful for, focus on some form of success, focus on some form of abundance, and utilize that as your day's grounding energy, as your focus to see manifestation of something in the future that you desire. There again, this is really important about how you do it, because if you only ever envisage it as happening in the future, then it will never happen. You have to somehow envisage having what you desire as already being in the now. And that again is another art. And it's very difficult, especially when we're in a place of stress or negativity. So all of these ideas and thoughts and practices I'm suggesting for you, they all take time and energy and effort. But they're well worth pursuing, and they're well worth continuing and keeping up. So again, nice cards to behold and lovely messages. I know I've done a lot of talking, so this is going to be a very long reading for you to go through, and as usual I think listening to it many more times than once, because you know the scenario, all of the words are powerful, all of the messages, the images, the vibrations of the crystals, they're all working through the video because source energy is involved in the readings. And it's there for inspiration, positivity, and to harness, harness, or what's the word I'm looking for and I can't think of it, to create more positivity and light. I'll just pull a couple of these cards. These are goddess cards. This is about using your divine feminine power, which again you can pull on as a great sacred strength. Una, easy does it. Isis, past life. Diana, focused intention. One more. Beautiful. Got this purple in again. Lots of the purpley blues. Aphrodite, the inner goddess. Okay, so Una, easy does it. There is no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything is occurring in perfect timing. Now you've had two particular messages about divine timing and about the universe's timing. So I'm thinking, you know, we know that this Catholic Church situation is a slow turning wheel. And I think making the changes that we've sort of talked about, writing back to the Archbishop, finding new counsel to support you like lawyers, putting your tentacles out further to see if there are other people who want to come on board with this. All of these things will strengthen the process. Also, you know, as you talked about, you can write beautiful words, writing this and getting it out to the public more in a bigger format than you currently do. All of these things are going to go towards solving and becoming a positive perspective. So timing is definitely something here you need to think of, Mary. You're being given quite good messages about timing. Isis, the past life. The situation involves your past life memories, and I talked about that a little bit before, and that's the perfect card to come out. Again, we have to somehow balance the past life to live in this life so that we aren't living in such pain and discomfort. And again, it's a personal journey, that there are, as I say, healers who can help with this, and sometimes we can actually work through it ourselves as well. Diana, focused intention. Keep your unwavering thoughts, feelings and actions focused on your target and you will make your mark. But given that we've had the timing come into it and this, I feel that they're saying to you, don't give up, but there's something about readjustment, moving further afield, and also timing is coming into play one way or another. Aphrodite, the inner goddess. Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care and appreciating your divinity. And I had also just previously said that as well, Mary. So it's nice when we're seeing the synchronicity and the messages of confirmation within a reading. So they are imploring you to appreciate yourself and, you know, infuse yourself with all the positive vibrations and treat yourself to things that you deserve and happiness and moments of joy, whatever they be for you. So remember to take in the good stuff in life as well, very important. These are nice cards, aren't they? They're kind of nicely energetic. So we've done a whole lot of oracle cards and they're giving you good messages. Let's take a look for you with the Rider-Waite, and will you be okay, and will you be, let's say, will you be believed? Look, you could very well be believed, but they're going to fight it, and I think that's the difference. Are they going to just give up? No. Do they believe it happened? Most likely. But are they going to pretend it didn't? Most likely. So it's not about whether you'll be believed. It's about how you can present it, that they cannot argue it. So this is for Mary. This is will she be okay and will she be believed? So we'll do 4 cards. You know, you can always rely on the tarot to bring out some heavy stuff. Okay, so the 2 of Coins talks about balance and comings and going and flow and up and down. So there is definitely some up and down energies coming here. These 2 are both about, you know, feeling like you're not winning at the moment. So there's something here, as I say, you've got to change. Something has to change, because the answer is no. They're not going to go any further with this at the moment, because I think they've got it over you. So you have to make the change if you think you can get it to go further. And if not, that's saying, you know, there's a degree of walking away here. You can take this card 2 ways. There is unbalance within the situation, which we know there is, because you're providing information, they're disbelieving. This is turning your back on it and walking away. This is a new moon or a full moon, so this could be representative of this time in the month where this event occurs, either new moon or full moon. And this can be considered more empowering than staying in this unbalanced situation. So it could be saying you have to walk away and re-strategize or head in a different direction, which is kind of the message I've been saying. This here is often about, you know, feeling loss or pain or sadness. Sometimes the number 3 is indicated, or 3 people, or 3 issues, or the timing of 3 days, weeks or months. This is about needing mediation, needing communication and words, and needing something to be healed at the heart level. So I do feel that it's going to be a little bit turbulent, and there will be ups and downs, and this, you know it's not going to be easy. So a couple of other clarifiers. What do we see in the overall future, in the far distance? Move those aside. My camera card is heating up, so we are going to come to an end, because I think there's been a lot said here that you can sort of just go back and listen to again and again. But we're talking now far distant future. What do we see? Nice, the Page of Cups is some sort of offering, you know, and that's symbolic of the bloody church's chalice, isn't it? So this is the far distant future. There could be an offering, and that's sometimes an offering of peace or acceptance or giving. This, I love the Judgment card. This is quite, again, religious looking card. There's these people in a coffin or some sort of tomb thing floating out to sea, but they're going, oh my God, we've been awakened, and they're hearing the trumpets from the heavens, and it's like an epiphany moment, or the epoch of a life where you suddenly go, there's something big changes, like some amazing thing in your life alters the who you are, the where you're going, and the what ifs and the hows. So it's kind of a symbolic of massive structural change. This one here, the Knight of Swords, he can still be defiant and ambivalent and aggressive. You know, there's a tower in the background which sort of symbolises change again, but sometimes still with conflict and heated energies and heated discussions. So I think you know in your heart of hearts this would never become a quiet, silent matter, and it will always be one of debate, and it will always be just a fiery, heated, emotional issue for all of the people who will be involved. But by pursuing it, if you are strong enough to have the things in place, the strategies in place to keep you buoyant and upbeat and positive and protected, then, and provided you do it just timely, bit by bit, like taking a bite out of the cake. You only take one bite at a time, and it might take a week to eat a whole cake. This is the same thing, isn't it? It's just about the slow evolution of time and allowing the universal's energies to keep moving forward. Make certain of this. There is nothing more certain than this. That as each month and each year goes by, more and more is being unearthed by many more thousands of people globally. And every time that is done, the church is destabilized yet another bit. And as that destabilization occurs, the tower begins to crumble. And it may just be time that you have to wait. But as long as it's in the systems, as long as it's documented, as long as it's written down, as long as it's all there, it just will wait until the timing's right. So there you are, Mary. I hope you've found this helpful. I know this is a long reading and it will take a lot of listening to, and you'll have your own perspectives as well. There'll be things in here you don't agree with, or you say, oh, I've done that, or that's rubbish, or yada yada. And that's exactly what it's intended for. It's intended just to be another pair of ears and another set of words and a brain to enlighten certain things or open other doors with. So hey, I wish you the very best with what's coming up, but please remember those other cards that said to drop the worry. Get yourself out of the space of being scrutinized. Know that this has to happen for movement forward, and that's just part of the very nature of dealing with it. So it cannot happen again, and it will not happen again. And this time you hold the strength and you hold the power. So power to you, Mary. Power to you. Take care, my friend. Much love. Namaste.